Welcome to the sixth and final Wheelworks workshop on the Home Film School. And in this, we're going to be bringing everything that we've learned in the last 5 weeks together. We're going to be generating ideas, we're going to be writing a script, filming it, editing it, and at the end of this, you will have your own short film. So I'm really excited to be delivering this workshop. Let's get into it. It's all very well saying you want to make a film, but you need an idea. Now, some of you may already have an idea of what you want to do, the short film you want to make. If you don't worry. I'm going to give you a few ideas and you can use one of these three if you are stuck. The first idea generation that you can use will enable you to write a poem. Now, before you stop the video, before you run away from the screen saying there is no way I'm writing a poem, this is really easy and it will happen in 1 minute, 60 seconds. So how are we going to do this? It's very straightforward. All you're going to need is a piece of paper and a pen. And then I'm going to give you 3 starts to a sentence that you are going to complete 10 times. The first sentence is, I am, ... The second sentence is, love is, ... The third sentence is, I want, ... Now obviously, what the dots mean is you have to complete that sentence. So you're going to choose one of those 3 statements, and then on the sheet of paper, you're going to write that down 10 times. I am, etc. Or love is, love is, love is. Once that's done, you're going to get a stopwatch, you're going to set an alarm, and you are going to give yourself 60 seconds to complete those 10 sentences. Those sentences can be completed with anything. Do not censor yourself. Trust what comes out. Use what comes out. You've got a very short space of time, and that's so that we don't censor the head and that we just let what's inside come out. So trust in it, go for it, and commit to it. The second and the third thing are going to use this. Our mobile phone. The second story you can base your script on has the title, The Phone Call. That's it. That's all you've got to do. But if we think back to story, the things that I want you to think about are, who is the character receiving the call? Who is the character on the other end of the phone? What relationship they have, and what changes from the start to the finish. Now that phone call could be at the start of the film, and whatever's said could drive the story forward, or you could have it at the end of the film. It could be the conclusion to the film. But that's it. You've got 2 characters, there's a phone call, and that phone call somehow impacts what's going on. Now, I don't want you to go with the first story. I want you to quickly batter out 5 ideas for possible stories. That will give you more options, more opportunities, more stories to explore. The second idea using the phone, and our third idea in terms of creating an idea for a story, is that you go to your phone, you scroll to the last message that you've received, and you use that. Now again, think of 5 different stories that you can potentially use with that. That can be at the start or the end of the story. So we will already have our beginning or our end, and then we just have to work out how to get between those 2 points. So that's your third way of trying to come up with a story. From the three options that I'd suggested, I have gone with using the last text message that I received to create 5 overviews of stories, and then I'm going to go for one of those stories. The reason I want to do that is, again, just to go back over some of the story basics. The structure, the start, middle and the end, the idea of a protagonist, an antagonist, and placing obstacles in the way of our protagonist. Before we go and we start writing our masterpieces, I want you to do one more thing. Quickly fly around and start to make a list of the resources that you have available to you. So these are broken down into kind of 3 categories. You've got people that are available to you. They can be actors, or they can be helping you out with whatever to make the film. Number 2 is the areas that you have access to. So obviously on lockdown, we're going to have to stay within our houses, and maybe some of us have gardens, but we're going to be restricted there. But that's okay, because that gives us a clear boundary in which to create. Thirdly, have a look around and see if there are any interesting props that you can use. Now, a prop could be used to create a really interesting story, and also you might see something that looks interesting, that looks beautiful, that would look stunning in front of a camera. So keep those 2 things in mind and run around and create an inventory. What we have now is we've got a stimulus, something that can generate story ideas, and we now also have some objects, some physical things that we're going to place within that story. Once we've done that, we can start brainstorming. We can start putting some rough ideas down of the story that we're going to create. Important things to think about when you are writing your script. I want you to picture each step of this story. And I want you to picture those segments within each scene. What are you seeing? What are we showing the audience? What information is important for us to share? So we might say that we begin with a wide shot to establish a room that a character's going into. Then we may see them go and pick up something, and that object is important to our story. So in your mind's eye, I want you to step through this before you start putting this on a script, so that you have a really good idea of the shots that you're going to need. Now, because it's in your own house, it means that you have access to these spaces. So go and spend a bit of time in those spaces and think of the story that you're trying to tell and what around you will help you to tell that story. Then once you've done that, you can come back and we can start to bring all of this lot together into our script. So we're now at the script writing stage. And with this, what I want you to do is again think of how the story is translated into images, how our shots are going to tell the story. I'd encourage you to, as quickly as you can, put down all the things that are going through your head on your script. This is sometimes called a vomit draft. So you're just putting all of your thoughts down on a piece of paper, and then once we've done that, we can start sifting through. At the editing stage in terms of script, we can then go through and say, does the character need to say that line? Can we use a look? Do we need all of this information? Can we get rid of these 5 lines here? And you clinically start removing all of the stuff that's not needed for the story. Firstly, get a vomit draft down, and then we'll have a quick look at how you can start editing the words on your page. In terms of the script edit, now that we have the main bulk of it down, I want you to go through each line of the script. Now, I only want you to have about 2 pages of script here at the end, and that's a maximum. And with this, every line that you go through, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. The first is this information that we already know as the audience? And 2, is this moving the story forward? If it's information we already know, it doesn't need to be there. If it's moving the story forward, it can stay. If it's not, get rid of it. There's a phrase called killing your babies, and that refers to script writing. It refers to filming. You might have something that you have fallen in love with, that you think, I have proved that I'm a genius by this shot, or by this bit of action in the film. But if it doesn't move the story forward, if it repeats what we know, you have to kill your darlings. So we have a script. We're now going to spend a bit of time going through that, breaking it down and working out what we need for each of the shots. What I've done is I've got costumes, props and sounds. I've given them a color code, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each of these and I'm going to highlight the costume, props and sound that is needed in this script. They're all marked down on the script. I like to just create a list, costume, props, sound, put a list here, and then it means it's really nice and easy for you when you're getting all the stuff that you need for the shoot. The other thing to keep in mind when you're doing the sound specifically is that you might want the sound of the bags going down, for example, the kettle boiling, knives and forks coming out, an ironing board. All of these will be what's called Foley, so it's important to capture all those sounds, and we can add them into the audio mix. We're into the filming part of this. So what I'll do is, as I am filming the story that I've created, I'll be giving you a commentary, talking about the decisions that I've made and why I have made those decisions. So I'm now at the computer and I've got the footage in, and I'm going to go through the footage and I'm going to explain the choices that I made. So if we look at the start, what I wanted to do was I wanted to very quickly set the scene. So I needed to show somebody whose life was quite mundane, it was boring. So the calendar has stuff like showers and putting bins out. I do get excited by putting the bins out. I have more than 2 showers a week. I just wanted to specify that. So in the first 15 seconds, not even 15 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, we see it's a man who has a very boring life, and then there's a highlight on the calendar. So we're straight into the story, and we know what the character is excited about. We know a bit about the character. I then decided that from that point I was going to use a montage. Now, a montage is a collection of lots of different clips that are cut together quickly. And I felt that firstly this served the story well. We really paced through it, so we showed that there was that energy to him getting ready. But also it goes to show how quickly we as the audience can read what is happening. So given maybe a second or 2 with each of these shots, we see he's getting ready. We see he's cooking. we see he's laying the table very precisely. This tells us all about the character. The final scenes. As I said, you could either have a phone call, well, there was the title phone call, or you could use a text message. I actually used a text message, but then I decided to put it into a phone call just to make it more dramatic, really. And I said that you could either start or end with that. I was going to end with that, but then I added that final scene because I felt that we as the audience needed to see how he really responded to the fact that his date night had been ruined, how he was going to react to that. So I thought that the pot noodle and watching football was a nice way of seeing how he rebounds from this. So these are just 3 of the areas I was thinking about when plotting out my filming, and the reason why I made those decisions. We are now at the editing stage of our short film. The fact that you've constantly been going through each step yourself, you've always been writing or shooting for the edit, means you should have a really good, clear idea at this point of how it all fits together. We'll jump on, we'll pull all of these shots together, and we'll see how our story's sitting. We have a rough cut, and we can see that the story goes from start to middle to end. There's a clear line there. What we're now going to do is, as with the script, we're going to clinically go through it, and we're going to ask the questions: do we need to see this? Is this information that's new? And is it moving the story forward? Those 2 things we'll be asking as we refine our edit. And we have our final edit. We have made our first short film. Well, hello. Oh. Okay, well, no, it's not a problem. I hadn't really gone to too much trouble anyway. Okay, well, thanks for the call, and well, maybe I'll speak to you soon. Okay, bye, bye, bye. You now have all the information that you need to go out there and be making your own short film. So I'm hoping that you're going to take all of these steps, put them into practice. As always, we would love to see what you make, so please do send it through to us. If you go through all of these steps, you will very quickly be able to make as many films, tell as many stories as you want, and you don't need resources for this. If it's your mobile phone, that is still going to do a fantastic job, as long as you refer back to all of the stages that we have gone through in this workshop. So, you have everything that you need. Thank you very much for sticking with us right through the 6 weeks. I hope you've gained lots and lots of knowledge from this, and I hope that you use that to go and to tell lots of fantastic, interesting stories that we would love to hear. Please do make sure you're subscribed to the Wheelworks channel. That's a real mouthful, because there's lots of other stuff that is going to go up on the channel, and it would be fantastic for you to keep up to date with that. If you have found this workshop helpful, then please, we would love to hear about it. It would really help us as we develop. And I hope you go out, make, do, and create.